everyone, and welcome to episode 19 of the WhotKnot podcast. My name is Kathy. I am a disabled maker after a car accident in 2007, and this is a podcast about all the crafty things that I get up to. So I've got a few things on the list to show you today. But first off, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that's made contact with me in the last 2 weeks. I've had quite a few messages on my Instagram from some lovely people asking how I am, making sure everything's all right with the whole COVID thing. I've had some lovely messages on not just my last video, my last podcast that I put up, but a lot of the previous podcasts have had a lot of comments, and I read them all. I love them. I respond to them all. So thanks everyone. Thanks for having a chat with me. All right, so as I said, this is episode 19, and we'll get the business end out of the way. Next episode is episode 20, and I am planning on doing a Q&A. I've got quite a lot of great questions, so I've written them all down in my little book. And what I thought I would do, rather than just sit there and answer a whole heap of questions, is I am going to pop them out throughout next fortnight's video and answer them randomly through the video. So, yep, some good questions there. So thanks everybody that's participated in that. All right, now let's get down to some finished objects. I've got some bits and pieces to show you today, that's for sure. First off, I'll show you my watercolour. We'll get that out of the way. So this is the watercolour that I painted this week, and it's of an older person walking their little dog in bushland. So my sister actually loved this picture, and I have made a copy of it. I'm trying to work out, and it's almost doing my head in, I'll tell you, how to copy my watercolours so they don't look blurry. It's hard because I'm using watercolour paper, and I got a lot of advice, and I bought a printer, and I'm not happy with the quality of the print. A few of you that have ordered some bits from me, I've stuck little postcard sizes of the prints that I've made in your orders, and I'm just putting them in the orders. They're okay, but I wouldn't want to sell them. So I'm trying to find out how to get a good copy of my prints, because Charmaine that comes has actually had an idea and thought that maybe what I could do is collate them into a calendar for next year. But as I said, I'm having a lot of trouble getting a good quality print. My husband went down to Officeworks and had them scan them. I still wasn't happy with the print, so the journey on that one continues. But yep, that watercolour is done. My watercolour that I will be doing later on this afternoon to post this week is actually a commissioned piece, so stay tuned for that. Well, you'll see this on Friday or Saturday, and I'm recording it on Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, and I will post my watercolour tomorrow, Thursday. So yeah, won't be in that order. Anyway, alright, so one of my main finished objects this week is my Zweig. It's done, the ends are woven in, I could not be happier with it. I love it. It's turned out beautifully. I love the colour. My husband loves the colour. It fits me. I said to him last night, I think it's one of the nicest things that I have knit, I've got to say. And I've knit quite a few things, a lot of lovely shawls and stuff, but this is really the first thing that I've knit out of all my own hand-dyed yarn, and I could not be happier with it. I'll give you a close-up view of the lace work. So the lace work on the Zweig is stunning. And I was knitting this as part of the knit along with Lindsay, and that finishes at the end of the month. So next episode the winners will be announced for the Time to Zweig knit along that we did with Lindsay. Now, Lindsay posted a podcast last week and explained that she has decided to put hers on hold, and that's perfectly fine. Knitting is supposed to be enjoyable, it's supposed to be fun, and if you're not getting out of it what you should be, you shouldn't do it. So she is planning on doing it over Christmas, and I still highly recommend the pattern, Lindsay. It is well worth the effort, and I think everybody that's finished it will agree that it is well worth the effort. And as part of the knit along though, there was no pressure to finish your Zweig. It was just a participation thing. So prizes will go randomly to people, and you do not have to have finished the Zweig. So yes, I was happy with that. I would actually consider knitting this again if I didn't have 100 zillion gazillion things on my list to knit. But yeah, I love it. It's soft. This yarn is the 90% merino, 10% linen, and I can't even tell you how nice it is. I just sent a couple of skeins to Liz at Yarns by the Bay, and she started just so she could see what it was like, and she is loving it too. So I am going to be getting some more of this for my shop to dye up, and it's so soft, it's so nice to knit with. I will be interested to see how it wears. I haven't worn this garment obviously because it's getting hot here now in Queensland, but I'm expecting it to be nice. So that's done, that's all finished, and I used 3 skeins of yarn plus a little bit of the blush for the highlight, and this was all I had left. So that is a good representation of the colour. So when I'm wearing it, people will see me coming. That's all right. So yep, I loved it. Loved every bit of it. Now, the next thing I've got on my list is I'll show you my episode book this week. It's getting real juicy. So I've got all my bits and pieces in it. Whoops, one of my bits just fell out of it. I've got my swatches and my notes and the cards from people that I've purchased stuff out. I really enjoy quietly decorating this and gathering all my pieces together, and it's surprising actually how often I'll refer back to past episodes to remember something, where I bought something. Like if I use something and then I think, oh, that's really nice, where did I get that from? All the information is in here. It's great. So to be honest, I've never done this before. I've never done it's almost like a journal of my year, my crafting, and I am really enjoying it. I'm loving the end result. It's going to be really full by the time the end of the year comes around. I love this book. It's a great size, and yeah, I highly recommend it. Journaling your crafting journey. Alright, so now I have got a little story to tell you. I watched a podcast quite some time ago, and it's Krista from the Relatively Crafty podcast. Christy. And she was showing a bag that she had made for her family. They're into gaming, and it was a dice bag, and it was made with scales. I could not find the scales anywhere. She put this podcast up quite a while ago, and recently I went to the op shop and I found a necklace, and this is all that's left of it because I dismantled it. This is going in the bin. This is seen its tour of duty. So I pulled this necklace apart and I got all the scales off it. I'm actually going to chuck it in the bin now. I don't want it cluttering up my life. And I'll show you in my book here. This is the scales. I had a few left over, but there's not enough to make another. You can just see them near that yellow flower. They're the scales that I have used in this bag. And just under that I've got my little stamp which says sending you sunshine and rainbows. So nice. Anyway, so I was fascinated with this bag, and as I said, couldn't get the scales anywhere. If you know where you can get these scales in Australia, leave it in the down box for anybody that's interested in making this. There's a lot of sites on Etsy that sell them, but you've got to pay, like, they're about $5 for a bag of 200, and that's about how many you need to make this little bag. But it's like $30, $25, $27 to have it delivered to Australia. I also got this little necklace too, which I'm gonna at the op shop, and I'm gonna pull that apart as well and make some little stitch markers out of it. So if you order something from the shop, you might get one of those little stitch markers in your bag. Anyway, this, without mucking around any longer, this is the bag that I've made. I haven't got anything in it. I probably should have put something in it to give it a bit of. Let me put this is the yarn that I use. This is yarn by Jane that I had left over from a shawl that I knit last year as a gift. I'll shove that in the bag and you can get a better idea of the shape of it. So this is the little bag that I've made. Move that out of the way. And you knit the scales into the design and it jingles. It's really nice. It's a good size. It's sturdy. It's well constructed, and you could crochet a cord or make an I cord. And as you can see, I've made an I cord, but I didn't knit that. I bought this to show you. I have this gadget. So you feed your string down, your yarn into that hole. You weight it with this guy and hold it off the edge of the desk and crank the handle, and within a couple of minutes you have got a really nice I-cord tube. Now I plan on giving this to Mill for Christmas. It looks a bit like a pine cone, I reckon. If you go and have a look at the Relatively Crafty podcast with Christy, she's knit it in different colours, holographic ones, red ones. She's made herself a Christmas one. She's done them in different sizes. So, yeah. I thought that was something a bit different and I liked it. I don't know what Mill's going to use it for, but she's getting it for Christmas. Yeah. So that's a bit of fun. Actually, while I'm making noise on this podcast, I'd like to apologise for last podcast. What a racket. Dogs barking, tins clanking, chimes being clanked together as well. I was rustling plastic. I had to cut a big chunk of it out actually, because I just thought, what was I thinking making all this noise? So I'm going to try and keep it a bit quieter today. Rusty's just behind me asleep, so hopefully the postie doesn't come and they don't all start up, but yeah, anyway. Sorry about that, everybody. Now, the last thing that I've got to show you that is a finished item, and for those of you that have been watching for a while, you'll know that a few weeks ago I set my mum up with a little project bag with some circular needles in it, and I set her the task of knitting the Barley Beanie by Tin Can Knits, which is a free pattern. I'm just trying to remember if that scale bag is also a free pattern, just for your information, if you're interested in having a go at that, and you can find those, or if you live in America, you'd definitely be able to get those scales. I think they're called Dragon scales, aluminium. As I said, I found them, but anyway, stop talking about that. So Mum finished the beanie. She actually finished it a little while ago, but it's taken me a little while to she didn't finish off the ends, and she was having a little bit of trouble with the decreases, being her first circular needle effort. So I kind of finished those off for her this week. But I think she's done a fine job. It's got the garter section at the front there. I won't put it on because I'll end up with headbands and stuff all over the place. She used some nice wool from Spotlight. She had a big chunk of it left over. This was the wool. And I reckon, I haven't weighed it, but I think that there could potentially be enough in that for another hat. So, will she knit another hat? I don't think so. She did not like these circular needles. She wasn't happy. She said to me that she wasn't happy with her tension on this, but I think her tension looks great. As I said, that section at the top, probably from the top to the red, I knit, and then she knit that bottom section. I think it looks fine, and I have not washed and blocked this. I have put a little handmade on it because she did go to a lot of trouble with that. So I'm going to give this back to Mum, and she can give it to somebody who she feels is worthy of the effort that she put in to create this. But for the record, I have not converted my mother to circular needles. The other thing she seemed to have trouble with was the stitch markers, because she'd actually knit the stitch markers into the fabric, which wasn't a problem because they were those little pin ones. I just undid the pin and slid them out. But you know, in the old school, I don't think they used stitch markers for that sort of thing. So she wasn't used to using the stitch markers either. But I think she's done a fine job on that, and it's a really pretty hat. And a lot of her grandchildren live down in Victoria, where it can get quite cold in the winter. And I think that is 100% wool, and somebody is gonna love that. So that's that done. All right, so my whips. I've got a couple of whips. I went a bit nuts with casting a few things on. And I've got my Ashbrook here, which I think is looking great. I have got a little marker to show you. I've got my lace section done. So I've left the marker there to show you. That's where I was up to the last time I showed it to you, where that little stitch marker is, and I have completed up to there. So I think I've got 2 sections to go, because this is divided into each pattern change is classified as a section. It's getting quite long. Love the colours. The yarn that I've used is the green, and this deeper colour here are yarns by the Bay. And this pinky, pale pink colour is the leftover ball of yarn from the Time to Zweig. In fact, I finished using all the pink. There's no more pink to be done. It's now the only sections left are in this burgundy colour and the green, and all I've got left from my pink, which is the merino linen, is that little guy. So that'll be going in my little jar of collections. But the lace work on this is beautiful. I'll give you a close-up look at that. So that's really nice. And yeah, so I think this will probably be finished by the time I next see you. Guys, I'm still having trouble with this elbow, so I need to just stop knitting for a bit, I think, but I am going to finish that and then work on some embroidery and things of that nature. So yeah, actually I mean to tell you, when I was showing you this, that Mum, I was going to tell you that Mum is a very good knitter, and she has knit a lot of garments for us over the years, and I thought what I might do is insert a couple of pictures that I've dragged from the family album. These are pictures from photographs and slides so the quality is a little grainy. But as you can see in this first picture, it's me in the middle with my older sister and my younger sister either side. I am wearing a knitted cardigan made by Mum, and my sister is wearing a knitted vest also by Mum. And in the next picture I've got here, it's us down by the beach. We used to spend a lot of time at the beach as kids, and obviously this was in the cooler months because we've all got jumpers on, and every single one of us has got a hand knit jumper by Mum, made by Mum, and I'm the one with the towel on my shoulders with the green and beige jumper, but Mum did knit that as well. My grandma, my dad's mum, used to knit a lot for us too, but I'm pretty sure Mum knit all those jumpers. And in this next picture too, Mum also knit the jumper that you can see Dad wearing there. I'm pretty sure Mum knit that as well. It was a black polo neck jumper, and I remember him wearing it. This is all my brothers and sisters bar one, my littlest sister. She was only very small at that stage of the game, but I have a big family. There's 6 of us kids all together, so 4 girls and 2 boys. So yeah, I just thought I'd show you those pictures because Mum was a prolific knitter when we were kids. She did a lot of knitting. Alright, back to my whips. Now, I showed you last week that I had swatched, and I had got this, try not to crinkle it so much, this yarn from Bendigo Wool Mills, which is a beautiful musk pink. In fact, it's called musk. And this yarn is actually an 8-ply. It's hand washable. It is 40% merino, 20% alpaca, and 40% acrylic. And it's really, really soft. It does have a slight acrylic feel to it, very, very slight indeed. But I did notice that after I'd washed my swatch, that kind of went away and it just feels soft and nice. So I've started work on that. I bought enough for a jumper's quantity, and I cast on the Cumulus by Petite Knits. So I've got that to the point. Let me just organise this to show it to you. Yarn everywhere. Story of life, isn't it, when you're a knitter? Yarn everywhere, yarn and knitting needles everywhere. So, yeah, I've got this to the point of, what on earth is going on here? There we go. There we go. Of dividing for the sleeves. So it's a V-neck. It's got an I-cord around the neck, base, and the ends of the arms. Quite puffy sleeves. It's really, really easy knitting. This yarn is knitting up beautifully, as you can see. It's got a really nice raglan cast on, which looks really neat and tidy. I looked at all the patterns on Ravelry, well, not all of them because a lot of people have made this, but I had a quick look through all the patterns on Ravelry and it looks nice on everybody. So I thought that it suited this wool. In the pattern you're supposed to hold 2 strands of mohair together, or a 4-ply and a mohair together. Now, as I said, I swatched, I got gauged with this, so I'm going with it. And I have a jumper like this that is pink and I wear it a lot. It's a commercial jumper and I've had it for quite a few years. It's a very thin knitted fabric and it's starting to wear on the sleeves. So once I finish this jumper, that will replace that one. But it's pretty much just straight knitting straight down now. I did try it on last night. I think it's going to fit me quite well. It's got about 3 inches positive ease, I would say. I never know which one to knit. Like, my measurements kind of suit a medium, a small medium, or I fall just into the large, but the lower end of the large. So sometimes if I knit the large, it's too big. Sometimes if I knit the medium, it's too small. First world problems, guys. But I knit the large in this, and I think it's going to fit just how I wanted it to. And I'm keeping my ball of yarn on my spoolie, and that works out really well. So, yep. That is the Cumulus, and that is on the needles. All right. Now, the next thing that I've cast on, and I've been meaning to do this for ages, is all year, since the first episode or second episode, I've been saying I'm going to do this, and I finally cast on my fox for my knitted animal friends. So I've got all the wool ready to go. That's all I've done. Look, it's a start. It's a start, guys. I'm getting there. I've made the jacket. My original plan was to make all the clothes and then knit the fox. Well, I've scrapped that idea because I'm knitting the fox now. I've still got the jacket on the go. But I thought if I can see this little fox sitting there with no clothes on, that's going to get me going to knit it. So I really enjoy making these little things. I'm using the Espace stone wash for the fox. This is lovely wool. So, yep. And I've got all the other Espace there for knitting the clothes. So hopefully I'll get moving on that. Yeah. Even though I'm not supposed to be doing any knitting, but I'm trying to just do a little bit each day and give my elbow a bit of a rest. Yeah, so that's on the needles, and I'm enjoying knitting that. I like knitting them. That's the thing. I just keep casting other things on. In fact, one of the questions for next week is, how do you decide on your next project? Yes, interesting question, that one. And the next thing that I was thinking about casting on is, after I finished the Ashbrook, I was going through my queue. I've rearranged my queue a bit on my Ravelry, changed my mind on a couple of things, and going through my library, seeing what patterns I'd paid for, and started looking through those to see what was going to be the next thing I would cast on. Because I'm still on the fence about the Stephen West shawl. Haven't really decided to join the party on that one at this stage. But I remembered that I'd bought the Fleur by Espace Tricot. So that's this shawl here. And I recently got some Suri alpaca, which I've dyed myself. I picked this up off Susan from Ash and Eve. She gave it to me bare, and I've dyed that. I've actually dyed some that has already gone out into the world that I have dyed for gifts for some friends of mine. But I kept one skein for me because that's how I roll. And I thought I would knit the Fleur with this. So I went through my stash to see what colours I thought would go with what I dyed here, because the colours that I've dyed this, I dyed this in colours that I thought my friends would like, but I mean I like them as well, so that's okay. And what I came up with was this guy, which I bought this, I'm not kidding you, probably nearly 2 years ago, 18 months, 2 years ago, and this is a fibre lily. And as you can see, beautiful, beautiful yarn. Is that in focus? Let me try that again. Here we go. Lovely colour. So that's fibre lily. I'll just show you her band. And I thought they would look nice together. What do you think, guys? I think that would make a really nice shawl. So a nice Fleur. So that's on my mind. I'm thinking about that one. So that's potentially going to be a cast on. The other thing that's on my list of things to do is I have got this, talk about show you some crazy things. I've got this top which lovely Beck, who is my daughter's partner, found at the local market that she attends, the Preston Market, and she knows I love this sort of thing, and she bought it for me because she also loves this sort of thing. But as you can see, it tapers down quite narrow at the bottom there, and although it fits me on the top, I feel a bit uncomfortable as to how tight it is across the bottom. It's beautiful and thick, lovely, lovely thick fleecy lining, but I've got a plan. I've got a plan for this guy, and my plan is every year for Christmas I give Mill and Beck a tote bag full of bits and pieces, like a Lucky Dip Christmas bag, and they take in turns of who gets to keep it. But this year I'm going to make this into a bag, but I think I'll be giving it to Beck because she loves Mickey Mouse, and I think it'll make a good sized bag. There's nothing on the back. I'll be able to use the material from the back. So in the next 2 weeks I'm hoping to produce a beautiful bag, and that will be part of Beck's Christmas present. She doesn't watch the podcast, so I can show you that. And yeah, so I'm trying to get on to a bit of my Christmas stuff. I've got a lot of my Christmas stuff done. I just do that sort of thing. I like to be organised with that. But I thought I would make that for her, and I reckon she will love it. So that's on my list of things to do this week. The only other thing that I finished this week, and it's part of kind of shop news, but it's not really because it's already sold, I just thought I'd show it to you guys, is I finished another custom bag, custom paint bag. This is going in the mail this afternoon. It's been purchased and will be on its way to its new owner. That's the front. That's the back. I've got a little bee pin. I like to add as many little details as I can. It's like a little bee pin there. And on the inside, I've got a little key fob, and I've put like a little honeycomb with some little bees on it, and there's a pocket inside. So yep, that bag's been purchased. I really like making these bags, and I've got a custom order for another one, so the next one that I make will be the custom order. So yep, just thought I would show that to you so that you could see what I've been up to. Okay, next up I've got my Etsy seller, and I've actually got 2 this week, so I'll just put my glasses on. And for the first time ever, we've got a fella. Yep, I found a guy. I was looking for something for a present for somebody, and I wanted it to be sort of have an Australiana theme because it's going overseas, and I wanted it to sort of have a, you know, I don't really care about gender specifics, but I wanted it to have a little bit more of a masculine feel. So one of them has gone overseas, but as you guys know, I can't miss out. I had to buy one for myself too. So this guy is in Sydney, New South Wales. He is on Etsy. His store is called Hugo's Workshop, and his name is Gary. And I bought this. And you may be saying to yourself, what on earth is that thing? Well, I can tell you for a start, the wood is made from olive wood. And that really appealed to me because when we had a farm, I hand planted myself our olive grove. So we had olives. But what you do is, let's see if I can do this without stabbing myself. It's got a lethal weapon on this end. Let me see that focus. And when I pull out, and you put it back in that way to utilise it, when I pull out this end, you'll know what it is. So the other end also comes out. There we go. And you push it in like that to use it. And there we go, it's a seam ripper, which I think is a great present for a fella that sews. I'm trying to get that in the middle of the screen. So it's really solid, and I paid $45 for that guy, and I used it the other day, and I'm telling you, it's sharp. You've got to be careful. It's really sharp, but the good thing is that you can store it safely by putting it back in on itself. So it's beautifully made. And on the one that I sent away as a present, these little black things here are like a little black rubber grommet, which helps it all grip together. And one of them was perished. So I contacted Gary, and he was instantly got straight back in contact with me. I said to him I just needed another little rubber grommet before I sent it out into the world as a gift. Not only did he sent me the whole metal section and a free gift, which was a little key ring, which I gave to my husband. He's got that on his key ring. So he had it express post out to me. So excellent customer service, and both of them came in these lovely little pouches, so they look quite nice when you give them as a gift. So I was very happy with that. So good job, Gary. You've featured on the WhotKnot podcast as the first male seller this year. But just to keep the girls in the loop, I have got another Etsy seller for you, because I can't not support the ladies. And this is a card pack, and it's from Seed and Ink. And I will tell you that it took a long time to get here. I'm just going to ever so quietly try and get it out of the paper, because there's actually two different cards there, and I think it'll be easier. I should have done it before I started, but I didn't. So yeah, so this lady is also on Etsy, and she does these Seed and Ink cards. Now the thing with these cards is they are impregnated with seeds, so you can actually plant them. So when you buy them, you're not just getting a card, you're getting a plant. So they are a little bit more expensive because of that, and I paid $9.95 each, and it was free postage. These are 100% Australian designed and 100% Australian made, and they're eco-friendly. So I got this one. You are every nice word I can think of. And I think this card is impregnated with daisies. This one is sunshine and daisies, and you can choose what you have them impregnated with. You can actually see in the back, you can see the seeds set into the paper there. So yeah, I think it's a nice little gift. It's they're blank inside for your message, but those black dots are all the little seeds. So I think nice to send and nice to give as a gift. And the last one that I got was this one, and it's Hello Lovely, and I'm pretty sure I got this one with basil seeds. As I said, she doesn't have a huge selection of the seeds, but you can choose what you'd like. They actually smell nice. They smell kind of rustic, but yep, it's a really great idea and a pretty little thing. So yeah, if you're interested in supporting Etsy sellers and creative artists, they both have limited sales on their shop. Hugo only has 55, and Seed and Ink has 97 sales in her shop. So check them out. And I think that's everything, guys. I have got my For Me From Me section coming up, so if you're not interested in that, that's fine. That's totally fine. It's been great catching up with you this week. We've got the episode 20 next week. I can't believe it. We've had a lot of new subscribers, and thank you so much to everybody that's subscribed. as I said in the beginning, especially like new subscribers that have introduced themselves and we've had a little chat. That's nice. But a big thank you, because I know there's quite a few of you that have been watching since the very beginning, and I appreciate that. As I said last week, I'm just an ordinary person. I don't know that what I'm talking about is any different from what all the crafty things that you guys are getting up to, but there it is. Yeah, so thanks everybody that's been watching, and now we'll get on to the for me from me. All right, here we are. For me from me. What have I been buying? Right, well, the first thing that I will talk about is some yarn. And yeah, I know I dye yarn, but it is nice to try other people's yarn, and you know, sometimes they'll have a colorway that particularly appeals to me, or I'm just being lazy, so I buy it from them. But also, too, it's another way to support other creators. So I have purchased some yarn from ashandevedesigns, and Rusty's having a scratch in the back there. Move it along, Rusty. Rusty! What's going on? That's not very elegant, is it? For people to have to see that in the background. Oh gosh. I will tell you, this is the second time I'm recording this. Anyway, keeping it real, just keeping it real for people. So I bought this from Susan, from ashandevedesigns. And she has recently launched her yarn dyeing business, and she can be found on Instagram as ashandevedesigns, and that's her logo there. I will be putting the full details in the down box if you're interested to go and have a look at her shop. She has some beautiful colours, and the reason that I contacted her was, as I said to you guys last week, I'm tossing up about the Stephen West knit along that's currently going on. I'm still not sold on it, even though they're up to clue 3. I really would love to get my teeth into the technical side of it in terms of the knit, but even now I'm not 100% sold on the visual. So I'm going to wait and see what people's shawls look like once they've blocked them and it's sort of all stretched out. It might look different. But as I said to you last week, I had selected this colour from my stash to if I did knit it. And I only had one skein. And Susan had these in her shop. And as you can see, very similar. I think Susan's has a slightly more pink undertone, whereas this guy has a slightly redder undertone. So both equally beautiful. But now if I do decide to do the Stephen West knit along, I have got all the yarn that I need. And just to refresh, these were the other colours that I had selected to use, should I go ahead with it. And if I don't, I'll find something else, as we all do. But they were my colour choices. So, yeah. I think they look great together, actually. The more I look at them, the more I... Like, am I convincing myself to knit it just because I want to knit these yarns together? Absolutely. But, yeah. So, this yellow one is one that I dyed at some point. These two are from Knit Picks. And I can tell you what colours they are if you are interested, because they are beautiful. So, let's see. This one is... Oh no, they haven't got names. They've just got... Oh no, yes it has. This one's called Burlingame. Burlingame, this one. And Arleta, A-R-L-E-T-A for that one. And just in case you're interested for this one is called Eugene Tonal Hand Paint. So for that one, all Knit Picks. So yeah, so I did buy Susan's yarn, and I will be looking forward to knitting that at some point. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but Susan, during the launch of her hand-dyed yarn business, she is also going to be supplying us all with self-striping sock yarn. And she's got 4 different colours in her shop at the moment, and they're all beautiful. I believe they are a 4-colour repeat. So if you've missed out on the Lula yarn, you can check out Susan's store, because you could pick it up there. I am going to be having a chat with Susan. She has suggested that we do a giveaway with one of her self-striping sock yarn. So I will let you guys know about that on the next episode, so that you can get in the draw to potentially win that. But I'll have all the details of that on the next episode. So that's one thing that I've purchased. And you guys know my husband is mad for buying stuff for me, which he does all the time. And it was our wedding anniversary and he was away, and when he came back he had bought me this guy. So nice. I'm holding it with 2 hands. It's quite heavy. He's made of some sort of resin, and he's got little wire feet. As you can see, he's almost as big as my head, so he's quite a big boy, but a lovely little bluebird. And I'll be putting him somewhere nicely. And even though we said we weren't buying presents for each other, here we have a present. So thanks, mister. I love him. And the other thing that I've got here, under this pile of yarn now, just have to move my yarn out of the way. Earlier in the year I spoke about this book. I think it's a lovely book. It's called Conscious Creativity, and it's got some beautiful illustrations in it, which I showed a few of them last time. It has got some suggestions for activities to do, whether they are physical activities or mental activities, to help stimulate your creativity. And I really enjoyed this book. I've read it a few times. It's got some beautiful illustrations in it. It's got some inspiring sort of information. And I noticed on the Angus and Robinson book site that the 2nd edition of this was coming out, and there was a pre-order. So I put my name down for the pre-order, and my copy arrived in the last 2 weeks. So that's the new one. And I'm telling you right now, you can see I haven't even opened this guy yet. So I'm hoping to have a look through this guy in the next week. There seems to be some activities that you do along with it. They talk about texture, yep, just some nice little pictures in it. So if you're stumbling a bit with your creativity, there's that. So I'll be looking forward to having a look at that. Let's see. So I think that's everything. I did have my little... There he is. This was the other thing my husband bought for me. Where's my card gone? So he was in the auto shop the other day and he spotted this. And so he bought it for me. And it's a tiny little wheelchair. So it's got the little wheelchair with the Hot Rod logo on the back of it. Don't know if that's focusing, but yeah, he copied that. So that's quite cute, and I will put that somewhere. So I think that's everything. I think I've covered everything. I hope I've covered everything. I feel like I've been talking for a while. My throat's been a bit scratchy, but I think that's just from talking too much. And yeah, so I'm going to head off now. It's 4:30, so it's Rusty's feed time. He likes to be fed at 4:30. He normally starts to get a bit antsy around that time. I'm surprised he's not hassling me. But I hope you're all doing well, and I look forward to catching up with you in 2 weeks. I have been watching a few podcasts, so I might have a few podcast suggestions in the next episode, and one in particular has influenced a couple of purchases that I've made yesterday, so we'll probably find out what that's all about next fortnight as well. So look after yourself, guys. Stay safe, stay well, and stay happy. Bye.